of the jungle. The Islamic Republic of Iran calls on the Security Council to convene an emergency session to unequivocally condemn the criminal act of aggression by the United States against Iran.
Barb, do you have Lisa's number?
Accountable for its violations of fundamental principles of United Nations Charter and of norms of international law. The responsibility of the IAEA and its Director General, who through evidence bias in favor of warmongering parties paved the way for the current violence and bloodshed, is now clearer than ever. We call on the IAEA Board of Governors to immediately convene and carry out its legal responsibility in response to the dangerous US attack on Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities, all of which have been under the agency's full safeguards and monitoring. The world must not forget that it was the United States which, in the midst of a process to forge a diplomatic outcome, betrayed diplomacy by supporting the genocidal Israeli regime's launch of an illegal war of aggression on the Iranian nation. Not content with such malign actions, the United States itself has now also opted for a dangerous military operation and aggression against the people of Iran. In doing so, the US administration holds sole and full responsibility for the consequences of its actions, including the Islamic Republic of Iran's right to self-defense under the principles of the United Charter. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its security interests and people. Thank you very much.
We will now be taking questions. We'd like to start with the Associated Press.
Distinguished Minister, are the doors for negotiation still open?
Tamam. Şimdi ses geliyor mu?
Can you hear me now?
Sayın Bakan,
Distinguished Minister, the question is as follows. Is the door for negotiation still open?
Ade değil mi?
No translation.
I'm live on all streams. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the like button.
Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
No, that he can't even.
In the English channel, can you hear me?
If I may just step in here and just translate real quick for my colleague. He's asking if there are still room for negotiations moving forward.
Arapça olarak diye sorabilirim eğer Arapça biliyorsan.
It's all right now. You can translate. His translate is okay.
Türkçe mi? Sayın Bakan, Ahmet Gannan bir televizyon Arabi. Müzakerelere hala kapı açık mı görüyorsunuz? Tahran'la görüşmüş müydünüz? Bugün
negotiation door still open? Did you contact Tehran? What kind of damage has been incurred on the nuclear facilities? Is there any intermediary country like Turkey, like Saudi Arabia, like Qatar? Are you continuing your such activities of mediation? How do you see the process? Thank you.
Well, I have been in touch with Tehran, of course. I still do not have exact information about the level of damages, but I don't think it matters how much damages have been made. Attacking a nuclear facility by itself is an unforgivable violation of international law and should be condemned.
Uh-oh. Oh,
Yesterday,
boy.
as I said, I had discussion and talks with a number of foreign ministers of the region. Almost all of them are very much concerned and interested to play a role to end this aggression by Israel, of course. They were worried about a possible attack by the United States, but yesterday we were all talking about how to stop the Israeli aggression. Well, of course, the door for diplomacy should be always keep open, but this is not the case right now. My country has been under attack, under aggression, and we have to respond based on our legitimate right of self-defense. And we will do that as long as needed and necessary.
Thank you, Trump. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'd now like to take a question from Al Jazeera.
This is what they want. This is what the people wanted. You already have 150 lives gone, or 140 wounded.
So you say that you need to respond right now, but we know that Iranians are known for their talents in negotiations, in diplomacy and trade. What would be the conditions after responding for Iran to come back to a negotiation table, maybe with the US as well? And Turkey has been offering that Ankara can mediate for a trilateral between Turkey, US, and Iran. What would be your response to that? Because right now the US is technically involved in this conflict. Thank you.
Well, I think it is irrelevant to ask Iran to return to diplomacy, because we were in the middle of diplomacy. We were in the middle of talks with the United States when Israelis blew it up. And again, we were in the middle of talks and negotiation with Europeans, happened only 2 days ago in Geneva, when this time Americans decided to blow it up. So we were in diplomacy, but we were attacked militarily. So it was not Iran, but the US who betrayed diplomacy. They betrayed negotiations. When at the middle of negotiations with us, they gave green light to Israelis, if not instructed them to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. I think they have proved that they are not men of diplomacy, and they only understand the language of threat and force. And this is very unfortunate.
God.
The United States showed that they have no respect to United Nations Charter. They have no respect to international law. They have no respect to any international law regarding, managing the board and facing challenges of the board. There is no red line that they have not crossed. And the last one, and the most dangerous one, was happened only last night, when they crossed a very big red line by attacking nuclear facilities. I don't know how much room is left for diplomacy. We are now calculating the damages. And as I said, the damages are not only for our nuclear facilities.
Hit the like button. Hit the like button.
The United Nations Charter. It was not only Iran's facilities which was bombed.
Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe.
It was also non-proliferation regime and NPT which was bombed last night by Americans.
They had enough. They want his head.
The rule of law and international law which was bombed. So now we have to see how much room is left for diplomacy, and we will decide.
I'd like to hand over to TRT World.
And you wanted to make negotiations, and then wanted to back out the last minute.
President Donald Trump warned that Iran must now make peace, otherwise the future attacks, he says, would be far greater and much easier. So how is Tehran responding to that threat from Washington? Thank you.
I think it's not up to Iran to respond to that. The whole international community should respond of such a clear threat against the United Nations Charter. Iran has done nothing wrong. We do not understand why Iran should be attacked for a false accusation that Iran is seeking nuclear weapons. It's now more than 20 years.
Oh, but these people just want war.
Peaceful nuclear program is in fact peaceful.
Oh, America, America.
We negotiated for a long time with the so-called P5+1, and we came to a deal which the whole world celebrated as an achievement of diplomacy. And then it was the US who withdrew from that deal and reimposed their sanctions and restarted their threats.
Too late, they're already in there.
With the same administration, then all of a sudden they decided to
140 got wounded today. Seven are already perished.
And now they are threatening us for more attacks.
All because of this dopamine.
To international community.
All because of the orange man.
To prevent this. Otherwise,
thanks, Trump. Thank you.
Nothing left for the international law, for the security at the world level. The Security Council should play its role, should play its responsibility to condemn and prevent these kind of threats. We will certainly defend our interests.
You damn right they ain't weak.
Territorial integrity, our sovereignty, and our people. And I'm so glad that our people are now.
They're going to show you that they're not weak.
What injustice they are doing against the Iranian people.
We're in their territory.
We are united and in solidarity with the government. Any aggression.
Next, CNN Türk.
Mr. Minister, how do you assess the West's stance on Israel massacres? No one seems to mention Israel's allegedly illegal nuclear weapons. The German chancellor even said Israel is doing the dirty work for us. So what is your response? Thank you.
Well, what should I say? You said everything. That Iran is under attack by a nuclear-armed superpower and a nuclear-armed regime.
27 bases in the Middle East already gone.
Nuclear-armed country.
140 wounded, 7 dead.
The whole non-proliferation regime would be undermined.
Take notes, people. Take notes.
Would be defeated. Iran is a committed member of NPT. But NPT is not able to protect us. So why a country like Iran or other countries who are interested to have a peaceful nuclear energy should rely on NPT for their peaceful activities. It is very unfortunate that Israel is doing, as the German Chancellor called, a dirty job. And by the way, they supported that dirty job. It's a shame. They know that Israel is doing a dirty job and they support it and they give it every right to do it and they call it defending itself.
Yeah, why are they dependent on the U.S. so much?
It's really a shame. Pardon?
Why are you dependent upon U.S. and Britain to do your dirty work?
Well, I think I'm not in a position to reveal what we are going to do in response to what Americans did last night. I just talked about the fact that NPT failed to protect Iran from and its peaceful nuclear program. And this is a serious challenge.
Next, we'd like to take a question from IRIB. IRIB, if I can get a question from IRIB.
Yılmaz Varlar, Türkiye Gazetesi, Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nde çıkan gazete.
I'm from a Turkic newspaper and also representing Net News Agency.
İran'a destek verdiği söyleniyor.
It is indicated that China is supporting Iran.
Tarafından cahilce olmasını nasıl
How do
değerlendiriyorsunuz?
you evaluate its deterrence power vis-a-vis USA and Israel? And can we learn your expectations about your relations with the Russian Federation?
It is written, God will not allow Israel to be destroyed.
Well, there was a
I
problem
beg to
with
differ, sir.
the translation.
There are many bigger nations than Israel. Many bigger nations, but we'll see.
Question.
It's all in the
Well,
biblical
I'm going to
text.
Moscow this afternoon, and I have a meeting with President Putin tomorrow morning. Russia is.
Oh, I know my Bible. Do you know yours?
And we enjoy a strategic partnership, and we always.
That's why Nebuchadnezzar had a dream,
with each other,
and he asked Daniel, "Why am I? What was the
Russia has
dream?"
been a part and the participants of JCPOA, so they have been always a part
Wars and rumors of wars. Remember
of the
that.
negotiations, and
All in the book of Daniel, my friend.
months that we were negotiating with the United States, we always briefed our Russian friends about the latest about any progress or a lack of progress in our talks. Well, I will have serious consultations with the Russian president tomorrow, and we continue to work with each other. Russia is also a permanent member of the Security Council. And we know that they were trying together.
Now Russia's involved.
to introduce
Thanks.
a resolution
Thanks.
to the Security Council for the cessation of hostilities. Obviously, now the situation has been changed, and I will have discussion.
What chapter and verse?
How it should be proceeded.
I need to know what
Final
chapter and
question from
verse.
IRIB, if we can hand over the microphone to the gentleman right there. Thank you.
Just don't cite something and not give me a chapter and a verse.
خسته نباشید آقای عراقچی. از خدمتتون که دیروز آقای اردوغان صحبت‌هایی داشتن در مورد میانجیگری، فکر می‌کنید
Me?
نقش ترکیه در این رابطه میشه؟
Am I scared? Not at all.
Thank you. Yesterday, President Erdogan mentioned a mediation instrument.
They're planning on planning on getting Trump out of there. He's bitten off more than they can chew until the Supreme Court steps in.
I had very productive meetings with the President of the Republic of Turkey yesterday, and I also had contacts with some of the countries of the region. Some of the countries of the region, such as Turkey, are indicating that they could be mediating so that the
lots of useful, important meetings with the foreign ministers of our region, and we discussed about different initiatives and ideas existed for the peaceful settlement of this question. But as all of you know, we suddenly faced with the aggression by American forces to our nuclear facilities. The Islamic Republic of Iran condemns in the strongest terms the United States' brutal military aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities. It is an outrageous, grave, and unprecedented violation of the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations and international law. The warmongering and lawless administration in Washington is solely and fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far-reaching implications of its act of aggression. The US military attack on the territorial integrity and national sovereignty of a UN member state carried out with genocidal Israeli regime, carried out in collusion with the genocidal Israeli regime, has once again revealed the extent of the United States' hostility towards the peace-seeking people of Iran, who will never compromise over their independence and sovereignty. The Islamic Republic of Iran continue to defend Iran's territory, sovereignty, security.
Oh, I thought that worked. Never mind.
By all means necessary.
Sorry, I thought that worked.
Against not just US military aggression, but also the reckless and unlawful actions of the Israeli regime. While President Trump was elected on a platform of putting an end to America's costly involvement of forever wars in our part of the world,
I have no doubts about that.
he has betrayed not only Iran by
Thank you for coming through. Like, share, and subscribe.
but also deceived his own voters by submitting to the wishes of a wanted war criminal who has grown accustomed to exploiting the lives and wealth of American citizens to further the Israeli regime's objectives. The US act of aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities constitutes not only a flagrant breach of the UN Charter, especially the prohibition of the use of force under Article 2, Paragraph 4, and the obligation to respect the state's territorial integrity and sovereignty, but also a violation of UN Security Council Resolution 2231. It cannot be emphasized enough how much of a devastating blow that the US, a permanent member of the Security Council, has dealt to the global non-proliferation regime. The Islamic Republic of Iran reminds the United Nations, the Security Council, the UN Secretary General, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and other relevant international bodies of their duty and responsibility to take urgent and decisive action in response to this breach of international law. Silence in the face of such blatant aggression will plunge the world into an unprecedented level of danger and chaos. Humanity has come too far as a species to allow a lawless bully to take us back to the law of the jungle. The Islamic Republic of Iran calls on the Security Council to convene an emergency session to unequivocally condemn the criminal act of aggression by the United States against Iran and to hold the administration in Washington accountable for its violations of fundamental principles of United Nations Charter and of norms of international law.
Yep.
The responsibility of the IAEA and its Director General, who through evidence bias in favor of warmongering parties paved the way for the current violence and bloodshed, is now clearer than ever. We call on the IAEA Board of Governors to immediately convene and carry out its legal responsibility in response to the dangerous US attack on Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities, all of which have been under the agency's full safeguards and monitoring. The world must not forget that it was the United States which, in the midst of a process to forge a diplomatic outcome, betrayed diplomacy by supporting the genocidal Israeli regime's launch of an illegal war of aggression on the Iranian nation. Not content with such malign actions, the United States itself has now also opted for a dangerous military operation.
Those who are not just coming in, thank you for this. Thank you for the share, like, share, subscribe. Let's get the likes up.
Holds sole and full responsibility for the consequences.
75 people. Let's get some more likes.
Including the Islamic Republic of Iran's right to self-defense under the principles of the United Charter. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its security interests.
We're in trouble. We are in trouble. We are in trouble. We are in deep trouble.
We will now be taking questions. We'd like to start with the Associated Press.
Now, is that America? Is this loot? I think this is loot. I'm not sure. I think this is loot.
Sayın Bakan, müzakere kapıları hala
Distinguished Minister, are the doors for negotiation still open?
Tamam.
It is loot.
Şimdi ses geliyor mu?
So, let's go to the next best thing, shall we? Let's go to the next best thing. And of course, let me see. Here we go. We're at high alert.
There's still much more work to be done, which is why the FBI continues to work alongside the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of War to defend. And Pete Hegseth has been fantastic, by the way, on this too. On other things, but on this too. To
Iran.
law and order and combat violent crime, arrest illegal aliens, and make American cities the safest in the world. And when I campaigned, I talked about crime, but I never knew that we were going to get into it like we did. You know, I mean, I used to watch these cities with the murders. Chicago recently had one deal where they had 11 murders in one weekend, and they said, well, yeah, but it was a holiday weekend. They actually told me that was the reason. Like it was okay because it was a holiday. It was Labor Day. These people are the worst. They really have to, you better, I tell you what, the people in Chicago and the people in places like that, they can be fixed. At some point, it gets to where you can't fix it anymore. It's too far gone. And we have some cities like that. But these are great cities that can be fixed. I'm going to be strongly recommending, at the request of government officials, which is always nice, that you start looking at San Francisco. I think we can make San Francisco.
Why can't you take your mitts off of things that aren't yours?
And we have great support in San Francisco. So I'd like to recommend that for inclusion, maybe in your next group. You'll get great support. Every American deserves to live in a community where they're not afraid of being mugged, murdered, robbed, raped, assaulted, or shot. And that's exactly what our administration is working to deliver. I didn't realize I was going to make this such a big factor in the. I didn't really campaign. I campaigned on crime, but I never thought we'd go into every city and take a really safe city that we've all been living with these
Iran
years,
just
and make them safe.
just
And now
declared
it's
a
like
warning to
passion
the
for me.
U.S.
It's a passion for the people behind me. So
I repeat, Iran just declared a warning to the U.S.
this is many, many steps above it. I want to
Why did I
thank
say
Stephen
declare?
Miller, who's right back in the audience right there. I'd love to have him. I love watching him on television. I'd love to have him come up and explain his true feelings. But maybe not his truest feelings. That might be going a little bit too far. But Stephen,
Locking
thank
him
you
up
for
in
doing
prison,
unbelievable
he'd rather
stuff.
hang
People in
himself
this
than go to
country
prison.
love you, I'll tell you, and they love what you say about crime and stopping crime. So now I'd like to ask Director Patel to say a few words, and then Pam and Todd also. And I just want to congratulate them. This is an amazing thing, and we're just at the start. We're gonna go into other cities that we're not talking about purposely. We're getting ready to go in. And when they go in, like Cash as an example, told me that people didn't even know. 5 months ago, they went into Chicago, and they started doing a lot of work in Chicago. And we brought the numbers down a little bit. And but that really was just preparatory work for what we're going to do with the surge. We're going to have a surge of strong.
Thank the Supreme Court for this one.
Patriots, and they're going to go in. They straighten it all out. So a lot of these cities.
They're the ones that gave them. They're the ones that gave them power.
A big flavor. But in a
So
little
thank
while,
the
you're gonna
Supreme
see some
Court for
numbers
that one.
You're not going to believe. And I think you'll probably start with Memphis because I'm hearing the numbers are much quicker than we even thought possible. But again, DC it speaks for itself. Chicago is going to be okay. We're going to save Chicago. And I told you, and I told them, a very respected man, the head of the Union Pacific, said, "Sir, save Chicago. It can be saved." And the way he said it, it was like, can you believe it? We're trying to save Chicago. But I understood exactly what he wants, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to save all of our cities, and we're going to make them essentially crime-free, like other countries have crime-free. If you go all over the world, you go to the world, you hear Afghanistan, and you hear all these different places. Our crime in certain cities is worse than anything they can even imagine, and we're not going to have that any longer. It's going to stop, and it stops right here. Cash, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. What I'd like to do is just highlight some of the outstanding work that the men and women of the FBI have been doing. And thanks to your brave leadership and the mandate you were given by the American people, not only defend the homeland, but crush violent crime, you tasked us with our great partners at the Department of Justice and the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General to start making arrests and bring prosecutions and safeguard our cities. And you said it, this is just the beginning. In just 7 months, I hope the media takes a look at every one of these charts because these are the best numbers for fighting crime in U.S. history, and it's only 7 months in. And to do that, our vehicle to do it of choice was Operation Summer Heat, which the FBI architected to go after violent criminals. And in just a 3-month span, you had 8,700 arrests of violent criminals. You had 2,200 firearms seized off the streets permanently to safeguard our communities. You had 421 kilograms of fentanyl seized. Just to put that in perspective, that's enough to kill 55 million Americans alone. You had 45,000 kilograms of cocaine seized. And thanks to our Department of Justice partners, you had 2,100 indictments in 3 months from June to September alone. Mr. President, that in and of itself would be historic for a 4-year presidency. You did that in 7 months because you let good cops be cops, and you partnered us with the right people in the Department of Justice to put the handcuffs on and bring them to court and put them in prison. And if that weren't enough, when you look at the year, for the entire 7-month period that we're talking about here, if you look at the past 4 years of the Biden administration, 16,000, 17,000, 15,000, 15,000. That's the number of arrests year over year of violent felons in this country for the Biden administration. Mr. President, in 7 months, you have 28,600 arrests of violent felons in just 7 months alone because of your leadership and the dedication of the men and women at the FBI who want to go out there and do the job they were prevented from doing because that department used to be weaponized and politicized. And this is what happens when you take out the fangs of weaponization. This number is historic by every metric. 28,000 people have been arrested, violent felons alone. And then when you go over there and look at some of these charts, if you don't mind, I'll just hop over here. Looking at the metrics for not just violent crime, but the homeland. Mr. President, during your administration, the FBI has found and located 5,400 children. That is a 30% increase year to date over the last administration. Violent crimes against children arrests alone are up 10%. Gang arrests are up 210% in the last 7 months alone. And transnational organized crime, Stephen Miller has been a great partner, is up over 12% alone. These numbers are historic just as a snapshot. But just so people don't think we're focusing on violent crime alone, the national security mission, Mr. President, under your leadership has never been stronger. We have gone after espionage activities against our main counterparts in China, Russia, and Iran. In China alone, we've had over a 50% increase in espionage arrests alone in prosecution. In Iran, we have had a 50% increase, again, in espionage cases. And in Russia, we've had a 33% increase in espionage cases alone. When it comes to counterterrorism, year to date, we have 125 arrests this year versus 100 last year to date alone. And when it comes to the cyber criminal activities, which are some of the largest enterprises plaguing everyday Americans, we at the FBI have put out a mission to go after cyber criminals like never before. Last year, they had in total 191. This year, you already have 252 arrests. 52 arrests of violent cyber criminals who are stealing from senior citizens, who are violating our children's rights and freedoms, and who are violating everyday Americans. These programs are record. And some of the two of the things I'll finish with that I'm most proud of, Mr. President, this FBI. Fentanyl. As you know, it's a scourge and it's killing our youth, 100,000 plus a year. To date, the FBI has seized 1,900 kilograms of fentanyl. That's enough lethal doses to kill 127 million Americans alone. To date. And if that weren't enough, Mr. President, you said we have to go after the worst of the worst. And you empowered our Department of Justice, our Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, and Deputy Director of the FBI, led the charge, not just on summer heat, but he also led the charge to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives. These people have been on
You're
the
a
run
puppet
for
and
years.
you always
In
were.
7 months, you captured not one, not two, not three,
You're a
but four.
puppet and you always
The FBI's
were.
most top 10
Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe.
Mr. President, the Biden administration captured 4 in all 4 years. You're on 7, and we're going to get to 10. We're going to get to 10 of 10. This includes a lady who murdered her 6-year-old handicapped child and fled to India. We got her in 2 months. This includes a narco trafficker. This includes a sex trafficker. This includes another first-degree murder and gangbang. These people were on the run because of the prior administration's reckless policies that destroyed our communities. And you came in and with a mandate said, go after the worst of the worst. This is just
How come we don't hear these people on the news?
Mr. President, I just want to thank you for your incredible leadership, our great partnership.
How come we don't hear these people on a regular basis? How come we don't hear these people on the news?
And that's when the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General led the charge across this country, because arrests without prosecutions are meaningless. We are deterring criminals from doing this activity. We are preventing criminals from coming into America, and we are absolutely crushing violent crime like never before and defending this homeland, sir. And not to mention, I almost forgot this one. It took you, sir, 2 weeks to get the Abbey bomber. Joe Biden had 4 years to look for him.
We all know that.
Went to Pakistan, and now 13 brave warriors who were sentenced to murder because of
Ain't no disagreement there.
The families have peace of mind, and we're going to continue to find the others, Mr. President. On behalf of the FBI,
For those who joined, thank you for joining the stream. Like, share, subscribe. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up.
President Trump,
And this
the
slut.
men and women of law enforcement say 2 things to me repeatedly. First, you have taken the handcuffs off them and let them do their jobs, and you let cops be cops. That's why all this is happening. The director, the deputy director are working around the clock. All of these great men and women in the FBI, they have families at home, and they are working during a government shutdown right now. Many of
Wasn't it just long ago she was talking about the economy was skyrocketing or something to that nature? What is she was avoiding all these goddamn questions and talking about the economy is skyrocketing.
for everything you did on behalf of the Department of Justice, and you're going to continue to keep doing. And they set the stage for what we're doing in Memphis. You're going to hear a lot more about that, our joint task force next week, but they set the stage for Memphis. And last night alone in Memphis, there were almost 70 arrests. There were 12 guns seized, and there was a 70-year-old man arrested as a result of our operation in Memphis who raped a child under the age of 3.
Ooh,
that one case makes
all
everything we're doing
roads lead to
worthwhile.
Rome.
So thank you all for being here on behalf of
Don't say that.
Thank you, President
Don't
Trump.
say that.
Sure. Thank you.
Ooh,
Thank you, Mr. President.
I like
this is a
that.
great day. And I think there's stats that the director talked about which are important. But I want to give 2 examples of what summer heat has done that actually will apply hopefully to everybody in this room. The first is
Big game, James. Stop it.
During the last
Stop
administration,
it.
there was a hotel in a town, the middle of the town in Alaska, that was being run as a drug den. There were over 1,000 calls to 911 over 4.5 year period. There were multiple violent crimes, drug dealers, overdoses, and murders at this one hotel, ruining a community. Summer Heat went in there. It's not only arrested all the participants that were controlling the hotel, but seized the hotel. And so that's one example of what summer heat means to everyday Americans that just want to live in peace. The second example is a large narcotics trafficking group that was
105, let's hit the light.
in the
Let's
state
hit
of
the
Washington.
light.
They were shipping fentanyl using commercial aircraft, putting fentanyl pills and powder onto in suitcases, flying them from the southwest border, mostly Arizona, all the way to Washington. It had been going on for an extremely long time, and the entire organization was arrested. And I say those 2 examples because it's easy to look at the board and see 1,000 arrests. How much different is our communities now compared to the past 4 years? But there's actual life examples. Every one of these arrests means that our streets are safer, and that's because of the work of this administration, of President Trump.
Now that's
and
what I
Director
call
Patel. So
anchors in
I
a
will tell you,
mule.
Attorney General Bondi and I are together every day with Director
Congratulations,
Patel,
congratulations. That's what I call acres in a mule.
And it's not going to stop. Like the Attorney General said, like the President said, this is just the beginning, or phase 1, or a start, whatever you want to say, but it will continue on. So thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Director Patel.
And Mr. President, just one last thank you from the men and women at the FBI. You found a way to get these individuals paid during a government shutdown, our 1811 agents. So on behalf of the FBI, it's a great debt that we owe you, sir. They're now allowed to pay for their families, so thank you.
And the military. Good.
That's right.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
This bum.
Any questions, please?
They're all yes men. All of them are yes men.
Thank you. Law and order is not an option in this country. It's a mandate. So I know the American people, thank you for that. In terms of the guns that have been taken off the street, do you have a number of how many guns were taken away from someone that had a prior felony or a previous crime, that perhaps we can prosecute that? Because I know that wasn't the case under Joe Biden.
We don't take guns off the streets of people that are allowed to have guns. So every gun that we're taking off the street is because it belongs to somebody who is not allowed to have it. Could be a felon, could be somebody who lives illegally. There's all sorts of conditions. But if there's a gun taken off the streets by the FBI, it's because the person who has it is not allowed to. It's not somebody who's lawfully allowed to have it. So every single one of those guns were taken off of people that aren't allowed to have it.
And not including the FBI, all of the other agencies. ATF alone since January 20th has removed over 25,000 illegal guns off our streets just since President Trump's been in office.
Mr. President, if I can follow up on that. Could there be any further conversation to have national concealed carry applied to actual DC? Like if you had a driver's license in Texas and you had a permit, of course you could drive.
Well, as you know, they've been talking about that for a long time. It's an interesting question. A lot of people feel strongly both ways, but we are talking about that, Brian. Thank you.
Mr. President, on Venezuelan boats, I want to ask you, why not have the Coast Guard stop them, which it is empowered by law to do? This way you can confirm who's on the boat and ensure that they're doing what you suspect.
Because we've been doing that for 30 years, and it has been totally ineffective. They have faster boats. Some of these boats are seriously, they're world-class speedboats, but they're not faster than missiles. But we've been trying to do that for years, and so much of the drugs
I don't blame you.
would come in through the seas. Right now we have, I would say,
Thank you for stopping by. I do not blame you.
I don't know about the fishing industry. If you want to go fishing, a lot of people aren't deciding to even go fishing. We've almost totally stopped it by sea. Now we'll stop it by land.
What's the next
But
step?
it never worked. It never worked when you did it in a very politically correct manner.
What's the next step in this war on cartels? And are you considering options? Are you considering strikes on land?
Well, I don't want to tell you exactly, but we are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control. We've had a couple of days where there isn't a boat to be found. And that I view that as a good thing, not a bad thing. But we had tremendous amounts coming in by boats, by very expensive boats. You know, they have a lot of money, very fast, very expensive boats that were pretty big. And the way you look at it is every boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. So every time you see a boat and you feel badly, you say, wow, that's rough. It is rough, but if you lose 3 people and save 25,000 people, these are people that are killing our population. Every boat is saving 25,000 lives, and you can see it. The boats get hit, and you see that fentanyl all over the ocean. It's like floating in bags. It's all over the place, and it's a tremendous. We're saving tremendous amounts of lives.
Yeah, Mr. President, on that issue.
I know you've talked about, I have a question for you, and then I also have a question for Director Patel. I know you talked about having some distaste for Boston recently. Is this one of the cities that you might be looking into, and can you give us a hint about other cities that you might be?
You're saying for where? For where?
For Boston.
Yeah, well, Boston has a bad mayor who at least is a reasonable IQ person. You know, most of them are low IQ. But, and they're so bad. I mean, what's going on in Chicago is just, you'd think the guy would say, hey, look, we have a problem, Mr. President. Could you come in and straighten it out? We could have that done in a month if we had their cooperation. It's going to be done anyway, but we could have it done in a month. Yeah, Boston, she's got 4 areas that are, wrong. And, somebody said, would we think about taking the World Cup away from Boston if they don't straighten it out? And the answer is yes, we have the right to do that with FIFA. So if we think that LA is going to be bad, or we think that applies a little bit to the Olympics too, but we'll talk about FIFA first. You know, FIFA is very hot. If we think there's any reason that, whether it's Boston or anywhere else, that they're not doing their job, we're going to take those World Cup games and move them someplace else.
Thank you. And then Director Patel, there's been so many conspiracy theories swirling around about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Do you have any updates for us, especially in light of all the online content that everyone's been talking about?
The only thing we deal with at the FBI and the Department of Justice is facts, and we delivered in record speed a manhunt to capture Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin in 33 hours. And if you put that in perspective to Luigi Mangione or the Boston bomber, they took them 5 days and a police officer lost their life in their manhunt. We are running out absolutely every single lead, and the best thing we can do to honor my friend Charlie Kirk's life is to make sure that everyone involved is prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and that's what we're focused on, investigating the facts, not trading in conspiracy theories.
Okay.
Mr. President, thank you so much.
Thank you.
In light of China's export curbs on rare earths, do you view India as a reliable partner going forward? And are you planning to meet Prime Minister Modi in Malaysia? Are you open to talks in terms of
Yeah, sure. He's a friend of mine. We have a great relationship. He just said that 2 days ago, as you know. We have a great relationship. No, we were not happy with him buying oil from Russia, because that lets Russia continue on with this ridiculous war where they've lost 1.5 million people. By the way, Russia's lost 1.5 million people, soldiers mostly. This is a war that should have never started, but it's a war that Russia should have won in the first week, and they're going into the 4th year. And I want to see it stop. So I was not happy that India was buying oil. And he assured me today that they will not be buying oil from Russia. That's a big stop. Now I got to get China to do the same thing. You know, that is relatively easy compared to what we just did over the last week.
You know what they did?
In the Middle East.
Okay,
Middle East was 3,000 years.
Okay.
And we got it done.
Hold on. Even though they just threatened the U.S., I'm talking about Iran, just threatened the U.S. just now. They just looped this video. But it probably won't be long. It probably won't be long until, let me see, a few hours ago, will strike on America. a few hours to go on. Oh shit! But will it reach?
To unequivocally
Will it
condemn
reach
the
America?
criminal act of aggression by the United States
Will
against
these
Iran.
missiles? Will these so-called missiles from Iran reach America? Global powers react to Iran's shark warning against the United States and Israel. Thanks, Trump. Thanks. This is just my life. Thank you very much.
And to hold the administration in Washington.
I don't know.
2, paragraph 4, and the obligation to respect the state's territorial integrity and sovereignty, but also a violation of UN Security Council Resolution 2231. It cannot be emphasized enough how much of a devastating blow that the US, a permanent member of the Security Council, has dealt to the global non-proliferation regime.
And it's March Madness.
The Islamic Republic of Iran reminds the United Nations,
when is March Madness?
Security Council, the UN Secretary General,
the week after,
the International Atomic Energy, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and other relevant international bodies of their duty and responsibility to take urgent and decisive action in response to this breach of international law. Silence in the face of such blatant aggression will plunge the world into an unprecedented level of danger and chaos.
God damn!
Humanity has come too far.
The rightful heir. He's not the rightful successor. Had it been not a warlike situation, had it been a situation where the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had either recused himself from his position or he had died of natural causes, then the Iranians, clergy and the clerical leadership, House of Experts would have perhaps leaned towards a Lahijati or Ali Reza or somebody else after deliberation and voting and discussion, not away from the Khamenei family. So this is purely because Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed by outsiders in an act of war or invasion and hostility to try and keep that emotional support going and to keep the people together under the fold of the regime and to ensure continuation of the regime that Mojtaba Khamenei has been picked. But the Iranians, but the Israelis, the Americans were not very happy with Mojtaba Khamenei's name because many believe that he is far more radical, far more fundamental and orthodox in his approach, and he would only go 10 times more than his father would have gone in terms of taking up hostilities and driving Iran in a direction where it would have perhaps gone nuclear.
Somebody got injured
in the near future and continue to further its ballistic missile program to engage and amp up the hostilities and amp up this confrontation. So that's not the moderate leader who the Iranians were projecting him to be. In fact, there are murmurs and whispers that he is a psychopath and he can be really, really crazy in terms of his approach. But that aside, is he even fully functional? Is he even fully conscious? We do not know because there are reports that even he is injured.
All right, getting in a CNN News 18 mega exclusive. This is in fact brought to us by investigations editor Manoj Gupta, where we are being told that Mojtaba Khamenei is currently in an injured condition. This is the latest that we are learning right now. He has, in fact, the appointed supreme leader has borne injuries, and Iran's media, the state television, is in fact stating that deliberate use of the term Janbaz of Ramadan to describe him because he is being appointed as a supreme leader despite his serious injuries. According to Indian agencies, he has sustained wounds during the recent joint strikes that were conducted by the United States and Israel in the ongoing Operation Epic Fury.
Y'all better.
Sources are saying that.
Can I hit the like button? Hit the like button. Hit the like.
The previous supreme leader also
This
shows
is crazy.
its own shift towards overt hereditary rule, right? Because remember, Mujtaba's appointment is also breaking away of protocol.
They hit the
because,
new guy.
As the tradition had it, you
They
cannot
just
have
appointed him.
As bloodline succeeding him, but it was the IRGC's clout that ensured that Mujtaba is indeed handed over the reins of being the supreme leader of Iran. Let's quickly go across to Anand Narasimhan, who's joining me live from the newsroom with more details. Anand, what else can you tell us?
Well, this is big because the Iranian media, state television, has used the term Jambaz of Ramadan. Now, when this kind of a reference is made, that means that that person has been injured, maimed, or whatever, been indisposed because of a struggle that's happening. And that's the kind of language that's being used. There were other reports, hushed up reports, as to why Mojtaba Khamenei's address, which was supposed to be yesterday, was delayed and it did not happen. Because many believe that he has also been injured in the strikes and 48 hours by US and Israel.
No problem.
In and around Tehran, he's been
just do me a slight favor.
Some said that he was
go ahead, support the channel.
And not in a position to be able to front or present himself before the people. Despite there being a massive turnout and rallies yesterday, Mojtaba Khamenei was not present and he didn't make that address which was expected of the newly appointed supreme leader. And according to Indian agencies now, Manoj Gupta getting us these details that it
did I let that go?
Seems he sustained wounds during the US-Israeli airstrikes in the ongoing conflict, and they are saying that this nickname and relation with previous supreme leaders show Iran's shift towards a hereditary rule. But they have also turned around and said that there could be another possibility that they are going to use the injury narrative to justify bypassing constitutional norms. Now, whether or not this is going to perhaps cause a wedge between the Iranian clergy, and will there be perhaps a deepening of rift between the Mojtaba Khamenei faction and the Larijani faction? We'll have to wait and watch, because Larijani was somebody who was touted to be the next successor, and Ayatollah Khamenei, the late Khamenei himself, had said that he doesn't want anybody from his family. It was his fatwa or his own opinion that he doesn't wanted to be anybody from his family, and he had somewhere indicated towards Larijani and maybe even Ali Reza, between whom the Council of 88 experts would have had to decide. But his killing and Mojtaba Khamenei being moved in because of some IRGC hawks who indicated to the experts that continuation of the Khamenei line will also help shore up the emotional quotient and also association with the Iranian people, and also show to the world that Iran is not buckling down, could work, because the Khamenei name itself is something which would be recognized, and it would be easy to move in someone like Mojtaba Khamenei. An old hand, but he's always been in the periphery. He has always worked from the shadows, never been actively involved in any administrative or clerical role within that entire Iranian regime. Mojtaba Khamenei, the second son, he's already lost his wife, sister, brother, and father to these bombings and killings. Now we are given to understand, and perhaps this is confirmation coming, that he is also injured and may be indisposed. Whether or not these injuries are very, very serious, and whether he's conscious, we do not know. But the usage of the terms by the Iranian state media confirm these doubts that even he is injured.
So is the injury narrative also being used to justify bypassing the constitutional norms? Remember, this is unprecedented, that he is succeeding his father this time around as the supreme leader. Anand, can you hear me?
Yes. So using the injury narrative to bypass constitutional norms, it doesn't usually work like that, because we have to understand the structure. The next supreme leader or clerical head who controls and holds sway over the IRGC also will influence the appointment in the judiciary and also the imams, and will also have a quasi-influence over the president and the elected member, leader of the people, and governance is the supreme leader. And this supreme leader is elected by a council of experts, which is 88 in number. These 88 council of experts are elected by the people of Iran. So, and they have a responsibility to choose use. And this council has unanimously elected Mojtaba Khamenei, although there are factions which were leading or intending or leaning towards Larijani. This Khamenei aspect came because there are hawks within the IRGC who were perhaps able to influence and prevail over the council to select a Khamenei family member, despite this not being the writ of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had very clearly said that he doesn't want anybody from his family to take his position once he recuses himself from the position of Supreme Leader. He had said that it should be someone from the outside, someone who's part of this entire council of experts and part of the regime, but not from his family. So they have bypassed the writ or the will of the late Khamenei by pushing for Mojtaba Khamenei, and this has also created rift within the Iranian leadership. Will that wedge be driven deeper? We have to wait and watch. Will there be a breakaway faction which claims leadership or which challenges the veracity, the authenticity and the legitimacy of Mojtaba Khamenei as the new supreme leader? We'll have to wait and watch. But the fact that he's injured, the fact that he's indisposed, could also add to multiple factors. Whether this stirs up the emotional quotient among the people, we'll have to wait and watch. Whether they're able to use the injury to try and justify bypassing constitutional norms, we have to wait and watch. But there are many who say that despite the overall unanimous decision in favor of Mojtaba Khamenei, there are many who believe that there are factions within the IRGC who are unhappy about this decision. And if Mojtaba Khamenei is indisposed, then there could be pressure slowly built to elect a new supreme leader.
Anand, why is symbolic continuity so important right now as far as Mojtaba's appointment is concerned? Is it because he's also seen as the rightful heir to his father because of what happened with his father? Also, not to forget, he's lost several of his own family members, including his wife, his children, even reports indicating that his sister was also killed and eliminated in the joint strikes. Is the US-Israel crisis now working in favor of the regime?
See, it's purely, like I said, it's not a decision that was underwritten or sanctioned by the late Khamenei. The late Khamenei did not want the Khamenei name to start. The Khomeini and Khamenei, they jointly ruled Iran, and then it was Khamenei who took over once the passing of Khomeini. But in this case, they had very clearly said it's not going to be dynastic. So clearly, it's not the will of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the late Khamenei. What's being done is to continue to use the name Khamenei and to drum up the entire emotional sentiment and to keep the Iranian people under their fold and control and the extra, what would I say, to somewhere ensure the word, ensure the continuation of the regime. They have used the Mojtaba Khamenei, but he is not the rightful heir. He is not the rightful successor. Had it been not a warlike situation, had it been a situation where the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had either recused himself from his position or he had died of natural causes, then the Iranian clergy and the clerical leadership of 88 House of Experts would have perhaps leaned towards a Larijani or a Ali Reza or somebody else after deliberation and voting and discussion, not away from the Khamenei family. So this is purely because Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed by outsiders in an act of war or invasion and hostility to try and keep that emotional support going and to keep the people together under the fold of the regime and to ensure continuation of the regime, that Mojtaba Khamenei has been picked. But the Iranians, but the Israelis, the Americans were not very happy with Mojtaba Khamenei's name because many believe that he is far more radical, far more fundamental and orthodox in his approach, and he would only go
like father,
would have gone in terms of taking up
like father, like son,
direction,
like father, like son.
Perhaps gone nuclear very, very soon in the near future and continue to further its ballistic missile program to engage and amp up the hostilities and amp up this confrontation. So that's not the moderate leader who the Iranians were projecting him to be. In fact, there are murmurs and whispers that he is a psychopath and he can be really, really crazy in terms of his approach. But that aside, is he even fully functional? Is he even fully conscious? We do not know, because there are reports that even he is injured.
All right, getting in a CNN News 18 mega exclusive. This is in fact brought to us by investigations editor Manoj Gupta, where we are being told that Mojtaba Khamenei.
All right. Hot damn. Hot damn. Well, we'll see tomorrow morning. Well, most likely when you guys wake up, because you guys are mostly East Coast. You guys are mostly East Coast. I'm Pacific. I am near California. If y'all get the news earlier than we do, then you already know what's up. I'm only here to support Jasmine Crockett and give the latest news to what's happening out west over there, over in Iran, and of course, America, U.S., Israel, and Britain are joining forces to fight the regime. And already lives have been lost. People are injured. People are already dead. And as Trump put it, he doesn't give a shit, nevertheless. So, hopefully, Iran doesn't go ape shit and just starts blasting nuclear weapons or sends, you know, the what you call it, the sleeper cells over here, which they haven't done in a long time. They haven't done in years. FBI will spot that shit in a minute. We got too good of FBI people up in here. They will spot that shit in a minute. But this is what you want. This is what they wanted. War. When we are all warlike people. Are you ready, brother? Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for a revolution. I'm ready for a revolution. Anybody want to fuck around? Anybody want to fuck around with the family? You go right ahead. They ain't gonna come back the same way they came in. But in all seriousness, we're talking about a person that doesn't know what he's doing. I just hope in all hopes, because we're talking about 9 countries ready to do away with old Trump. So we will see. We will see. All right, y'all. It's been real. About to shut down for the night. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Support the channel, and peace, love, and chicken grease. Hot damn, what a night.